Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another The Sports Goot video. And today we are doing the Jets Bust or Boom 2021. If you guys are new to the channel, new to the series, so we preview each team for the 2021 NFL season. You saw by the title, we go over key players, give our record prediction, and basically give an outlook of what you should see from the Jets and give our personal thoughts on what we expect from this team. We are both optimistic about them. Jets fan, Giants fan, but don't worry, I will not be biased. But we're good optimistic. We're pessimistically optimistic, if that makes sense.
I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah. But we are gonna get into all that next. So do make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. Helps out a ton, and follow us on social media. All links in the description. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
The first category that we are doing is key players, and to be honest, even as a Jets fan, I can admit that with the New York Jets, there aren't really many key players. But I think our best player on the offensive side of the ball was not really a skill position player, but our first-round rookie draft pick, Makai Bechten, and he was really a stalwart in both the running game and the passing game. And I think he, as long as he stays healthy, which some people are concerned about, I think he's okay at right for now with health concerns. And I think if he does stay healthy, he can easily be a top 5, top 3 even left tackle in the National Football League. And most years, he would have easily been the best left tackle of the class. But with Tristan Wirfs, obviously, it's hard to beat him out. Hard to beat him out. But even then, Makai Bechten, for me, has been the best offensive player for the Jets. And I think he it was a great first pick by Joe Douglas. And I think he's going to be a key cornerstone to the Jets offense for years to come.
Yeah, absolute mauler. Someone who, what really I like about him is you went into a season expecting him to be a project, not be great, and he was phenomenal when he started. Like, this guy is a 6'9". He's huge, ginormous, 300+ pounds, an absolute run mauler, really good at pass blocking. What I love about him is he has aggressive after his. He finishes blocks really aggressively, and that's what I love. You want an offensive lineman who's intense, especially at the young age. Yeah, so obviously with someone of his size and someone who Dylan, who's also a host on the channel, if you guys are new, we are very concerned about that size, and we saw it. He had a little nagging injuries, nothing that really was of importance, but like Sam Cosmi coming to this year, he's a ginormous tackle, and there's always cause for concern when someone's that big. But Makai Bechten, if he can play at that level and take, again, a lot of these Jets players can take that step to become a good NFL player from being a average one. Although Makai Bechten was an average, but obviously as a rookie, injuries were a bit of concern, but I think he's fantastic. Moving on to another offensive key player. This may come to you as a surprise, but it is Denzel Mims, Baylor wide receiver. We were talking about this. This is our second time recording. We really went into depth the first time. I mean, he's just, I see so much potential in someone of his size. I've kind of been saying that he can become that Mike Evans type player. Just that, how tall is he? 6'4". Yeah. He's big. He's a big guy and a red zone threat. And if Zach Wilson can trust him going into this season, obviously as a sophomore player, someone who needs to have, just with a lot of these receivers, they need to be a safe pair of hands for a rookie quarterback that obviously needs help. Denzel Mims, I think, again, if he can take that step, he takes that step to be a good wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1B behind Corey Davis. But then third year, he takes that big step to be like, okay, this guy's one of the better receivers in the NFL. I think Denzel Mims, didn't really see much of him last year. Obviously, Sam Darnold was not the best quarterback. Denzel Mims didn't really get targeted, didn't really play too much in the beginning. But we saw at the end flashes, really good hands, good routes, and kind of has that size to overpower smaller corners.
Yeah, he pretty much covered. I think when you look at Denzel Mims, someone who I watched him a lot during last season, his rookie year, is that while he didn't have one of those elite rookie seasons from a wide receiver like we saw from Chase Claypool or Justin Jefferson, I still feel like he does have the potential to have a very, very good sophomore season, become one of the better wide receivers in this draft class. And the reason for that is the fact that, again, he had probably the worst play caller in the NFL last season, and he had one of, I don't know how bad he'll be like in the future, but like statistically one of the worst quarterbacks. And I feel like with a totally new regime, new play caller, new organization, new quarterback, I feel like he can have a much better second season, maybe be a third down target against his size, and become not exactly one of the best receivers in the second season, but become like really show a big step up from his first season. I think he really will, because with his talent and with the much better pieces around him, he will be able to do that.
All right, let's move on to another player. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball. And Serge, I'll let you talk about him because I know someone you really like. Franchise tag safety Marcus May. And You may not have gotten a long-term deal, but at least the Jets got him back. Really, that quarterback of the defense. What are you looking for him to do in 2021, and how does he need to develop a poor Jets secondary?
Really just pick up where he left off. I mean, last season he was one of the reasons why the Jets secondary wasn't the worst in the NFL, because of the fact that their cornerbacks were atrocious. But you had Marcus May in the two high shells to really help give them a bit of a cushion, give them a bit of guidance and help. And I feel like he is one of the better ball hawking safeties in the NFL. I won't say one of the best because
underrated one.
Yeah, underrated exactly. Especially considering he's played on such a poor Jets team and a poor Jets defense that you'd say, oh, all the players are bad. But Marcus May has had a very, very good season for New York this season. And I expect him to continue into next season, especially considering he will be playing on the franchise tag and will have something to prove to the Jets organization.
Right. Yeah. And not much for me here. I think Marcus May, we know the talent he brings in, and just not only the talent, but just the importance he brings to a Jets defense that needs him really bad, because it's basically last year was more front four, front three. They were running 3-4 last year. That was important. Usually it's like, oh yeah, the front seven's really good. The Jets didn't really have great linebackers. Obviously let go of Neville Hewitt. CJ Mosley opted out. So he didn't have much there. And then a secondary that is full of young players, Lamar Jackson, Bryce Hall, both people who are not only that are also famous people. We've called them the knockoff famous secondary, but you know, it was not a great secondary. Literally, they did not have a great corner. Brian Poole, who they didn't re-sign, one of the better slot corners in my opinion. I thought that wasn't smart. But look, Marcus May is going to go and he's going to have to be a leader. He has that captain badge on his shirt. He's going to need to continue, as you said, come back from where he left off last season as an important playmaker. And again, a big reason why they won against the Rams, and will be a big reason why they can get stops going into this season. But Suraj, now our last key player on defensive side, a young, high potential defensive player, a lot of high potential players on the Jets, Quinn Williams. What's the outlook for him?
I think this is a very exciting season for Quinn Williams. I think he could easily become the best defensive player on the Jets in 2021. And the reason for that is that he's going into a more friendly system that really suits his skill set rather than what he was before with the with Greg Williams, that defense, that blitzing defense. Now he's going to go from, again, what you said, a 3-4 to a more 4-3, a place where instead of you have to play an edge on a 3-4, well, not really an edge, but a defensive edge, defensive lineman, outside defensive lineman on a 3-4. You can now play as an interior on a 4-3 and get more pressure on the inside of the guards in the center. I think you'll really thrive more as a 3 technique in that 4-3, especially pairing with guys like John Franklin Myers, Fotofoto Katakasi. I apologize if I mispronounced that.
Got it right.
Sheldon Rankins. I think this is going to be, I think he could have a serious breakout season, especially considering one huge addition they made on the defensive line on the outside. He could really get a lot more help from the edge and become really the player that he was meant to be when he was selected 3rd overall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say on Quinn Williams. Look, someone who I haven't paid too much attention to, kind of been an early round draft pick who I haven't seen do much, but I mean, I'll take the Jets fan advice. And look, I think it's a Jets team that is going to start to have a good defensive line, because who did they bring in? Robert Saleh. We know the defensive line he developed in San Francisco, the best defense, not only the best defensive line, the best defense in 2019, which basically led them to the Super Bowl with a subpar quarterback. We've seen that at the Rams with Jared Goff. Good defenses can do a lot of things. So if you can develop a defense, and especially a good defensive line that can disrupt good quarterbacks besides Tua in that division, you know, it's going to be a big, you know, he's going to need to take that step and not only be a run stopper, but also get to the quarterback. But I think a big, what I see in him is a big guy who's going to stop running backs from getting through the hole and getting to a secondary, which is basically only led by Marcus May. Let's get into some free agent ads, talk about what their impact will be. We have 2 players. Number 1 is Corey Davis, Tennessee Titan wide receiver who they brought in. Kind of one of those deals where people are like, that's all right. That's a good deal. Not like, wow, fantastic deal. But as a Jets fan, what's your thought, and what do you think he has to do going into the season?
I really like this move. I think I hear a lot of people say that he has to be the wide receiver number 1 in this Jets offense, and they're concerned considering he never was a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. But the thing is, with Corey Davis, I think he doesn't actually have to be that number 1 receiver that a lot of people expect him. The reason why is that because with the Jets wide receiving core, while they don't have an out-and-out number 1 guy, they have a lot of guys who can fill specific roles that a number 1 receiver might have. They have the go-get-him wide receiver in Denzel Mims. They have the receiver that can be someone's yang to another person's yang, and Corey Davis.
Merch coming soon.
Be a good route runner, be a good hand. And then you have the guy under in the slot, the guy who's shifty, can be dynamic in space.
Exactly.
Elijah Moore, who we'll talk about more, and next season more and more. And then I think that he won't have to be that wide receiver number one. And again, even though if there is a number one receiver right now, the Jets, there's so many guys that can be number ones at the end of the season with such high potential that I don't think he'll be as big a concern as people are making it out to be.
Yeah. Corey Davis, and this is 100% I agree. I think the Jets wide receivers, they have different players that play the role of wide receiver one is a perfect way to put it. They kind of have one guy spread out into four, which that might sound like that's not good, but they have four guys who can do one thing really, really well. Well, we think. Obviously, we are very high on Elijah Moore, who we'll get into when we talk about rookies, but, Denzel Mims, who we talked about, who will be a threat third downs and in the red zone. Corey Davis, who is kind of that all-do-it receiver. He can do much. And then Elijah Moore in the slot. And we can't forget about Keelan Cole, who they brought out from Jacksonville, although we won't touch on him much. Someone who can make those fantastic catches and can kind of be that guy who Zach Wilson can throw to in tight spaces. So I'm really excited to see Corey Davis play. But moving on to another free agent, Carl Lawson. Bengals outside linebacker they signed, not Shaq Lawson, who we were talking about for 5 minutes, and then noticed that we were saying Shaq Lawson, but we know it's Carl Lawson. I think Carl Lawson going into this season will take a massive step. He is, first of all, built, someone who works a lot, really, really hard worker, kind of has that motor, kind of very, very similar to Patrick Jones we saw from Pittsburgh when you were talking about your defensive edge. I see a lot of similarities in terms of their motor, someone who really just keeps going and really good around the edge. Something that the Jets have been missing for 5+ years is that really, really talented edge defender who can get to the quarterback and just be a dangerous outside guy, especially in a 3-4 that they will be running, right? Or 4-3, sorry. 4-3 they'll be running. So that's the thing. He'll probably be playing edge. Because he's not going to play a 3-tech linebacker, which wouldn't really make sense. But look, talented guy. Again, we'll see this. We've talked about this. A theme the Jets offseason. They didn't sign players that are too expensive, but they signed guys that were young and will have an impact in their own way. And Carl Lawson will do that for sure in 2021. What do you think?
I agree. As long as he stays healthy, we saw Carl Lawson have a solid impact with the Bengals on that defense, and he's gonna be with a much more talented Jets interior. So he's gonna find himself almost always one-on-one with the tackle, and I think he has the skill and the youngness and the youth and the just edge rushing, the burst and the good moves. That was a bad way of describing it, but the point that I'm making is that he's gonna have a lot more space, a lot more room to work with in that Jets defensive line than you would have back with Cincinnati, which is one of the reasons why I think he did go to the Jets. He saw like an untapped maybe opportunity there in New York with the potential for a decent edge rusher to really put up big numbers. So I think if he stays healthy, which I hope he does, I think he will, then I think he could have a career easily with New York.
Now let's move on to the NFL draft. What will their impact be? Let's talk about what we expect from them. Number one, Zach Wilson. We've been touching on him here and there because he's a big part of this. And that's why we didn't put him in key players. We have rookies. Our draft is kind of a separate segment. Serge, I won't touch on Zach Wilson very much because I know what he can do. I want a Jets fan to simply lay out what Zach Wilson needs to do to keep this Jets organization stable and give Jets fans hopes that he is finally the franchise quarterback they've been looking for.
I think, again, I said this already once. I think the main thing is that I don't have expectations for week 1. I have expectations that by week 18, he is a better quarterback than he was at week 1. Because that's obviously somewhat a reflection on him. But I think he definitely will work hard. He will make sure that he is a better
We know he can.
At the end. Because you see that he studies film. You see the things that he does on tape, that you know that he works on that time and time again. So I have no doubt that whether or not he's a better quarterback week 18 and week 1 will reflect on him. What I think this has to prove is what really the organization, like Robert Saleh, the new coaching staff, we've seen previously with a lot of talented quarterbacks that fall into the Jets, but they haven't been able to get the best out of them because of the poor organizations, the poor talent around them. And I think this is probably the most talent we've put around a young quarterback in a long time. So I feel like
that's what I think the difference is.
Exactly. That's what I think the difference is. So if I see an improvement from Zach Wilson, see a significant, not even a significant, but a decently better quarterback at the end of the season than it was at the start, I'll consider it a successful season. That and him not getting injured. That's priority number 1.
And I'm not going to touch Zach Wilson. I said I'm asking Giant fan to Jets and NFL analysts to Jet fan, is there a chance Zach Wilson turns into Sam Darnold? Not turn into him, just like, is that Sam Darnold?
There's always a chance, especially with the Jets. Like you never there's always a chance that quarterback becomes a bust. But the thing is, I think I'm much more higher on Zach Wilson than I was with Sam Darnold because I have a lot more confidence in this new organization with Saleh, with LaFleur, with Joe Douglas. I think it's all coming together. I think it's a lot better position that Wilson will be in. And for that reason, I'm much more confident.
Smart moves from an organization that consistently has not made smart moves,
exactly,
which is a step up. That's what I would say. I mean, this is the Jets organization right now. It's not like that. It was like that for a couple years. But like every single team, there's a dip and you always come back up. But let's move on to another player. Elijah Vera Tucker traded up to pick 14 to take him from USC. Me and Serge, when we did the other video, we were like, there's no other reason that they would trade up. They went up. The Jets, most Jets fans expected, they were like, we know you're going to take Wilson at 2. They took him. No, take AVT at 2, or at the second first-round pick. They took him. I think this offensive line has been transformed. We saw the Chiefs' offensive line be transformed. I think this is the second most transformed offense. Obviously, they got Moses from a free agent, right? From Washington. Then obviously they have Makai Bechten, who we touch on that left side. But you have a left tackle who is, how old is Makai Bechten? 21, 22, or around there. But not older than 24. And then you obviously have Elijah Tucker, who should be about 22. You have 10 years at least, assuming you can keep him, of that left side of the offensive line being really good. You brought in a young running back in Michael Carter. You obviously have Tevin Coleman, who you brought in. And looking into next year, you could go bring in a really talented quarterback, but you have secured an offensive line that will not only lock down that left side and be promising for Zach Wilson. You have a really, really good blindside blocker in Makai Bechten for Zach Wilson. I think Vera Tucker gets plugged in and will be an automatically really good player. I think he can make an all-pro team in his first year, and I think he could make that for the rest of the year. I think this guy's talented.
I think all-pro is a bit of a stretch there, even as a Jets fan, but I love the ABT pick. Although I was insanely nervous when they traded because I didn't expect it at all. I didn't think, because Joe Douglas isn't the type of guy that strikes you that he's going to trade up. You think that he's the type of guy that he'll just let the draft play out. But another thing that is about Joe Douglas is that he loves the offensive line, which
trenchers.
Exactly, that's the most important thing. I always say that when you have a young quarterback, the first thing you have to build from the inside out. Start with that offensive line, and that's what he's done. He selected Bechten first. Now he selected AVT.
Right.
We had signed Moses from Washington again, which I really like at the right side. And I think that AVT, he's going to be a stud. I'm not saying all pro first year. I think that's a bit of a stretch. But he's very solid in the run, great pass blocker. He can play on multiple positions in the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So if Bechten, again, people were saying, what if Bechten gets hurt? Then, okay, we have Elijah Vera Tucker who can fill in that left tackle. So I really, really like this pick. And I think, again, next 10 years, left side offense line easily secured.
All right, let's move on to probably our most favorite player of this Jets team, or this Jets rookie class. If you guys are fans of the channel, you obviously saw we posted a video on Elijah Moore, Ole Miss receiver, who they took in the second round. Who at first I was like, okay, it's a pretty good pick. There's Rondale Moore's there. I was like, why don't you take him, the other Moore? But looking more into it, this guy's electrifying. I really can't even. I've talked about him so much. Playmaker, can play inside, can play outside. They will use him to be a rack and a yak god. Yards after catch, run after catch. He's speedy, has that size. You saw AJ Brown, who's probably one of a top 10 receivers, say that Elijah Moore is better than him. I think as a Jets fan, you're hoping to God that is true. Look, talented, will give, again, Zach Wilson a pair of safe hands. And we could look at a partnership that will go on for 15 years. That could be one of the better duos that we've ever seen. Look, I'm saying a lot. That was I meant one of the better duos in the league. Elijah Moore, just to me, electrifying playmaker, as we titled that video when we went over a bit of his OTA film. What do you want from Elijah Moore?
From Elijah Moore, what I think I just want him to fill his role, what he's meant to do in that Michael Floor offense. I've already said this multiple times. I think his comp, I said this also in the Elijah Moore video, is Brandon Ayuk. I think with the same mind that Ayuk was used last year in Michael Floor, in that passing game, you're going to see him on a lot of touch passes, on some sweeps, on a lot of plays inside that will give him space, and a lot of screens. Those types of plays that Elijah Moore will be running. They want to get him in space. They know he's a good route runner, so they want to use that to his strength.
Exactly.
Other very, very quality receivers, not incredible ones, but quality ones, similar to in San Francisco. I really could see him having a very, very solid year. Not incredible, 1,000 yards in his first year, but I could see him eventually becoming a 1,000-yard receiver. More importantly, being one of the more solid rookies in this rookie class, in this receiver class, and just in the rookie class in general, I'm very high
Yeah.
on Elijah Moore.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's get on to the final part where we give you guys our record prediction. I'll start first. Is this pessimistically optimistic? We might have to get a Jets logo and just have that pessimistically optimistic.
That's all Jets fans.
Yeah. I have them going 6-11. I think it'll be an improvement. I don't think it'll be playoff worthy. Again, I've been saying this. I think that they could get to the playoffs assuming everything pans out. But again, as Serge said, it's the Jets, so usually it doesn't. But Adam Gase isn't your coach anymore, so we'll see. 6-11 for me. I think the improvement we'll see, as you said, they will stay in games with good teams, and then next year is when it's like, okay, let's bring in more players, then we can start talking about playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I think you said it just yourself that really with the Jets, perfect world is never the world. It's always like you have to plan for the worst, the hell world.
Yeah.
And I think for the Jets, I'm not saying it's going to be hell world. I'm exactly what Keaton said, pessimistically optimistic. Let me explain that. I have the Jets going 5-12. Which is worse than Keaton's prediction. But I could see this being a very solid year like the Carolina Panthers last season, where while they were 4-12, they really didn't play like their record. They played every team close, including the Chiefs, including the Saints, all of the better teams, maybe not the Bucs, but a lot of the good teams, they played very, very tight. And we saw improvement in their first year of the rebuild. With another good organization, I could see the exact same thing happening with the Jets. While their record doesn't seem good.
And similar coaches.
Exactly.
A good offensive coordinator and good head coach.
I could see them having a very solid season, even though they go 5-12. And then next year, we build on that with, again, like you said, more players, and more importantly, more growth from the players that we have currently that could potentially take us further than 5-12.
There you have it, record predictions and everything you need to know about. This should be called the 2021 Jets Guidebook. But if you guys did enjoy and made it to the end, it would mean the absolute world if you could just subscribe to the channel. It is right down below, so please feel free to do that. Helps out a ton. Turn on notification bell because the series will continue to come out. We're only on our second division, so it'll be coming out all summer. As always, follow us on social media if you want to message us directly at The Sports Hoop on Twitter and Instagram. More active on Instagram, clips, everything more consumable clips over there. But do make sure you guys go follow us over there as well. We were trying to live stream every week, so make sure you turn on notifications you don't miss. You can come into the live chat, talk about a video we posted. If you guys disagree, we're always up for having a chat, and you can comment down below. We will always also respond. And if you want to talk to certain ones, just address us in the comments. Kia McDermott, Serge Kadali, there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Zach Wilson, do us good. 2021 Jets, pessimistically optimistic is what we have. See you next time.